All right, this is the Real Sports Fan Podcast, back for another episode. I got Big Bro in the building. Man, this guy go back a ways, man. And anytime we talk, it's always good conversation. It's always a lot of insight, always a lot of life lessons involved, and always about keeping God first as well, man. So none other. I know some of y'all been waiting for Andre Sorrell. Dre, what's good, bro?
Oh man, brother. Glad to be on, man. We've been talking about this for a while now, and the time is right. We always, God's time is perfect. So
That's right.
yeah, man, I'm here to bust it up a little bit, man, and I'll let you know what's going on with me.
That's right, man. Definitely a long time coming. We've been talking about it. We had a couple other different ways we're gonna do it, man. But like you said, it's only right. We chop it up and like you said, I do think the time is perfect, for everything that's been going on. And definitely want to hear from you and tell your story a little bit for everybody know you, but for some that might come across this and don't know you, your story, it might help somebody. And then your perseverance and all that. And then also, getting into a little bit, starting off of obviously I'm a warrior. We got a lion. Here I'm married to a lion. So QA and Easton battled. Whenever you guys see this, they battled last night, which was what was that? The 28th, February 28th. This March 1st, ain't it, man?
Yeah.
Man, time is moving, boy.
Yeah.
So playoff game in QA. Queen Anne's did win by 10. But I want to talk to Big Bro because Big Bro said that they were going to cruise, to a victory. That was the word he used, was cruising. And it really wasn't.
That's exactly the word I used.
10 points. It really wasn't, 10 points. So talk to me about your analysis, Big Bro.
It wasn't a cruise at all. I still feel like it should have been. I feel like last night, just a quick synopsis overall of what I saw. Last night, Easton came out the way you needed to come out in a road game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They jumped out early, and I think my perception of Queen Anne's is I think that they approach game based on previous results.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, I'm gonna break it down why I say that, and this is what I mean when I say that. Their body language to me said that they expected to beat Easton, so that's how they came out. And I was telling people in the stands, I'm like, man, it looked like these guys just woke up from a nap or something. They sluggish, it was really they wasn't playing QOD.
Right.
And that's the staple of our team.
Yep.
Man, these boys lock in on the defense and get physical with you.
That's
so
right.
Easton jumped out, man, to a 12-point lead in the first quarter. Mm-hmm. And I never felt like we were out of the game though, because we play defense well, and we got an equalizer in that matchup with Nate. They really had nobody that can defend Nate. But I think what really happened was, let me put this out there: the refs were horrible all night.
Yeah, we're going to see that. Side. I agree.
No, it wasn't a particular side, but I know this narrative has been built that Easton got cheated last night.
You watched the game, losing nothing.
Yeah, it was horrible refereeing from start to finish. I think the defensive intensity turned up for Queen Anne's. Easton started missing shots. They were getting good looks.
Yeah.
They started missing shots, and Queen Anne started making shots. Mm-hmm. And I think when it got tight, Easton got a little tighter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's how Queen Anne's, because really with the amount of turnovers they had in that game, there's no way Queen Anne should have won that game.
That's what I was actually getting ready to say. I was saying that what happened was, Queen Anne's in that first half, especially like even when they had the fast break, one thing God behind me was saying, and even Meek is like on the fast break, they weren't spaced out. Queen Anne's, like they were so bumbled up, they didn't have space enough to even try to pass the ball to each other, and they had a lot of forced turnovers, but a lot of unforced. I'll be real, a lot of unforced turnovers.
A lot of unforced turnovers.
Yeah, so they were kind of, but and then like you said, like obviously. When I got there, it was 12-3. So I had to ask a couple people what even happened, by that time. And then, like you said, Queen Anne just slowly but surely, got in it. And then Sean picked up his second foul, second quarter. That stopped a lot of what Easton had going on as well. And then next thing you know, it was only a 1 point lead at the half. And at that point, and I know it got tied in the fourth with like 5 minutes left, man. But just like you said, you didn't feel like y'all was gonna lose it. I still didn't feel like we could win it. Like, you know what I'm saying? We didn't have that. We were missing something. So yeah. So, but yeah, congrats, man. They got Wild High next.
Moody was special last night too. I gotta put that in, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
I felt like he wasn't as aggressive as he was in the first half and the second half. I don't feel like offensively he was aggressive enough. I think he kind of like tried to get other people involved.
Yeah.
But I feel like they should have wrote his hand a little bit more because he even hit a couple threes last night, and he don't normally make a bunch of threes.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. He showed he can.
Against Y High, bro. Against Y High, and I've noticed this. I was talking to a guy that follows the Queen Anne's program too. Actually, Quandre, the athletic director.
Been on the show. Quandre Wilson been on the show.
Yeah, my guy. So I know that I was speaking to him last night through text during the game, and I was telling him I noticed that Queen Hands is starting to look more out of sync as the season goes on, and that's strange for a team that's supposed to be the top team in the division. I said we've been starting slow. I'm saying for weeks. This past probably the past 3-4 games, and if they do that tomorrow, you can look for a double-digit loss easy.
Yeah, you can't start slow against Y High. I mean, they started slow against them at the Civic Center, but that was a little bit different. You know what I mean? And Queen Anne's wants to play that slow down, like you said, man. Throw it in to Nate, and shout out to obviously we ain't had nobody for Nate, but before I move on, Gilberto, man, Easton was trying to. When you follow someone to run the screen, like they were trying to cheat and trying to jump it and jump the screen, and he was just going around, and he had a couple, and I like that he didn't settle for a three, like he took a couple 1-2 dribble pull-ups. Yeah. So he had a good game, man. He
was big for us because a lot of times he don't show up.
I know. I've noticed. Yeah. I noticed. He came through. Man. So and then also I think another adjustment Queen has made. Now again, I didn't see all the first quarter, but I know that second half, Roy was on Moody. They were matching him up, putting that bigger guard on him too. So being able to get to the rim, finish a little bit. LB was a little out of sync. Missed a couple free throws. His moment, but like I was talking to his people, like he'll get more confident. And both of them, man, Moody and LB, they're getting ready to go to Italy. In April, man, that experience, being around, playing against guys over there, but man, being around the collection of talent they got from the Seaford boys, Brent Ricketts and the Matthews boys there, and then Antoine Wilson from Y High. It's going to help them. It's going to help them big time. So.
And then them two getting to play together.
Yes, sir.
Through that experience, and then bring it back. It's going to really help.
Bring them closer. Yeah, it's going to bring them closer on and off, I believe. Yeah, most definitely, man.
I might go out on a limb and say with Queen Anne's losing so much, I'll give Easton the preseason #1 spot.
Oh, man. Honestly, man, again, I don't know a lot of the other kids. I mean, I know some. I see who's losing what, and I'm going to be doing, trying to help, do some skill training with some of these guys, and I'll get to know some more people from, outside of Easton too. But I'm going to go on the limb, and I'm going to put that out there. Why not? It's a Real Sports Fan podcast. Forget just the base side. We should be, with the collection of talent we have coming back, and who we got coming on JV, we should be looking at the state title. I mean, that's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? If they can all gel, and who I think is coming is going to be there, is going to be there. If especially if Jakai comes back, I think that'd be big. But we'll see. I don't know.
Jakai, Brooks,
yeah, DJ son. Yeah.
Oh,
and again, I don't know. I'm just, I ain't breaking no news. So whenever, but that's just
guessing.
That's I'm just guessing. If he comes back, I know. I would love to have Darrell some. I know he's staying at St. Michael's. Boo's doing a great job there, and he's putting up a lot of buckets, which I understand. But Jakai, I think is a chance. So we'll see. But they need that third score, and I mean we started 2 freshmen last night. People forget Tamir center. He's a freshman as well.
35.
Yeah.
So he'll get better because he's not bad at all.
Yeah,
he's not bad at all.
Yeah, he'll get better too. Yeah. He plays with Team Pete with Gary Gould and them over the summer and stuff like that too. So yeah, man. But great season. Again, I'm cheering for Queen Anne to beat Waha tomorrow. We out. So I want the North to go ahead and bring it home, man. So we'll see.
Maybe, hopefully, because I'm not gonna be able to make it. I got some clients, some work to do tomorrow evening, but
yeah.
Maybe this is the first game I missed. Maybe they can pull it out because I've been to the
So we'll see, man. But man, again, man, thanks for coming on. Man, you are a very, I say, unique guy, man. You hold a lot of hats. Obviously, husband, father, entrepreneur, minister, friend to many, and just a real dude. You know, you know, they had a picture in the dictionary of a real dude. I feel like they would have, you know, Andre Sorrell in there, man, because you just keep it 100%, you know, funky,
Try, bro.
man. Yeah, man. And, you know, so like, let's start going back, man, to growing up in Grasonville, you know, and talk to me a little bit about, you know, how it was, you know, during that time, you know, being a child growing up in Gville.
Well, man, Gville, man, we were kind of a peculiar group of guys, man. We grew up. Most of us grew up in single homes, with, you know, raised by women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our fathers were absent for whatever reason, but man, I can say, man, we were a tight knit group. Most of us idolized the wrong things coming up. Not all of us, but we had the little group, and people back in my day remember the Gville Hustlers, man. And
Heard of them.
we was a rough little group, man, going around terrorizing stuff and spitting poison and spewing poison everywhere we went, man. But it was like a brotherhood. That's one thing that anybody said that know us, man. We were a brotherhood. Wasn't really a whole bunch of internal conflicts, and you know, when one moved, we all moved. I grew up for the most impressionable years in Fisher Manor.
Okay.
And that's like the little projects, you know, as they call them in Grasonville. I think they were built, I think I was about 12, 11 or 12, 11 or 12 when they got built. And my grandmother and my family, we were the inaugural. We were the inaugural, was the first group of people to move in. I never remember.
Wow.
I never forget it. 7A.
Wow.
Was the apartment I grew up in, and I can kind of remember everybody that lived in the neighborhood when it first opened, and it was fun times, man. Again, we had some role models that we probably shouldn't have been following, and that led to some other things, but we'll get into that as we go along.
Right. That's real. That's real. And yeah, because you know, it's something, man, because like I remember being a kid, and again, I can only go by being a kid and growing up, you know, and what you hear, but you know, Graceville was always one of them places, like you call it peculiar people, but you just ain't want to try, you know, a lot of cats from Graceville during that time. You know, I grew up in the 90s and I'm sure you probably spent a lot of time down bottom. You know what I'm saying? I was right. I don't know if you don't even know where I lived at growing up. I was right on Glenwood Avenue. So I was on 108. So the Legion was right beside me, and the Elks was right across.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I didn't know you grew up there.
So when they had the Easter parade, I had that porch. I was one I could sit on the porch. I didn't have to move. My mom just sitting there, everybody come on the porch and just sit. So you know, it was a time during that time.
yeah, to say the least, bro.
Yeah, I seen a lot, man. I seen a lot, but good times though. You know what I mean? Good, like real good times too, though. You know. So when did how about sports? When was your introduction to sports? You know, in Graceville, when did that start, and what sport was it?
I'll probably say the first sport I played was football. Football was probably the first organized sport I played, and I was very young. I remember we had two legendary teams in Grasonville for Little League football. It started out with the Redskins. Nobody could beat the Redskins for years. And I remember my first year playing, I was 7. Big Marlon Henson was on the team.
Okay.
My god brother Joe Skinner.
Okay, Joe. Yeah, shout out
Joe. My cousin CJ Boardley. And those guys were like, I was probably 7. Them guys were probably 11. It wasn't like it is now, 6U, 7U, and you know what I mean? There was that gap. So that was probably the first organized sport I played. And following that, I just went into basketball, baseball. I kind of played all 3 sports. throughout my entire life, all the way up into high school, right? But in the community, like we played sports so much. That's like what we did. Like we played this game you call muff. It was like a bat and a ball, and you had to field the ball without bobbing, couldn't trap it and all that. And we would hoop against each other, play football against one another, and we kind of just, you know, sharpen each other up, man, because we were great competitors. So football was my first sport. Probably played.
So football is the first one, man. And you shared a couple weeks ago, you know, that baseball photo. You know, talk to me a little bit about that sport. You say you was a young Barry Bonds. You know, so talk to me a little bit about that.
So if you know, you know, baseball. It was actually a sport that I loved, and I got introduced to baseball through one of my friends in elementary school. His name was Joey Horney.
Okay.
And his father was Big Joey Horney. They lived exactly like on the next street over from the project. So they lived in the hood.
Okay.
So, you know, I started playing baseball with them, and man, I was pretty sharp baseball player, but that was my dad's number one sport as well. So that kind of came natural. Yeah, that's my dad's number one sport. He was a hell of a baseball player. So I pitched, played infield, and my stick was pretty decent. I played all the way up until my freshman year of high school, and then the politics came into play. So I didn't play really throughout my high school career, but I still continued to play senior league.
Okay.
Because you know, senior league is still high school age players. So I played senior league up until 16, 17.
Okay.
And we actually had pretty good teams, man. We went to, you know, state finals, and we never made it to like up to the Little League World Series, but I think I was on a team that was a couple games from it.
Okay.
Lost the home run Baker. I don't know if you ever heard of home run.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I always say that's one thing I wish I got into. I couldn't play baseball at all. I didn't even try. I mean, we played baseball like outside and stuff, but man, but when I got to a certain age, I would go watch like, it's funny, like Mike Bell, you seen last night, ref, and Mike Blake and D. Ricketts and those guys. When we stayed at Richard House, we would go watch them, man. And like me, you had that conversation a couple weeks ago. Baseball, man, for a lot of these kids, they don't understand, man. That's one of the sports, man. You really love, like, you can go with baseball and really make a nice piece of change with baseball.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Highest paid sport, man, and it's the easiest sport to get drafted in. None of my sons ever wanted to play. Not, you know, most of us, I don't know why we don't get into it, but it's just.
And I know too, like you said though, I do think to a point there's a lot of politics when you get to a certain point. I remember when I had Ron Bryce on here, shout out cousin, you know, he was a good baseball player too, and he played 1 year, but you know, he had some politics. Cabby, he was another one, you know, Monkey Murray, you know, so a lot of good ones too that, you know, like you say, you get the high school time, you know, things kind of change, you know, whatnot. But you had mentioned, going back a little bit, you had mentioned your pops, man, and like you said, him being a good baseball player. You know, talk about, you know, mom and pops, and just, I know you talked about obviously being from Gville. We talked about introduction to sports, but kind of getting in a little bit to, you know, mom and dad.
Well, growing up, I would say up until I was probably about 10, had a pretty good life, man. Mom and dad both in the household, and me and my sister, you know, though we were the only two children that they had together. My dad had another son, but I remember very vividly. I was about 9 years old. We were actually living in Denton at the time. We had moved to Denton.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, and I never knew this, but my parents were selling weed and coke. I never knew during the time, but my home ended up getting busted. And my mom and dad both went to prison. So from that point on, me and my sister moved with my grandmother. So we moved right back to Grasonville. Okay. So from 10 and probably, I would say for 3 or 4 years, both of my parents were incarcerated, a couple of years at least. Kind of had a pretty rocky childhood. Both of my parents ended up getting strung out on drugs. So I was living with my grandmother, basically, you know, raised me got about 14, man, and I said, man, I got to do something, man. It's my grandmother, my sister, my grandfather he had went to prison. My aunt lived there with her 2 sons, so it was probably about 9 of us. My uncle, it was probably about 9 of us living in a 3-bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I guess when we got about 14, man, I started to make some executive decisions, albeit we know which direction that went in. And I don't know, man. I just felt like it was a rites of passage to me. My parents sold drugs, my grandparents sold drugs, my uncles, cousins. Like it was just like a family thing in my family. So, you know, it was you know, once you get older and you start to realize what's going on, you can see what's going on.
Yeah.
You know? I took that made that fateful decision, man, to follow in those footsteps, man, and then that turned into a
long thing. And I appreciate you saying it like that too, because I mean you kind of said it's right there, you know. So you know the words rite of passage, which I can understand that it being right there, kind of for the taking, and then obviously being raised, you know, by your grandma, like a lot of us are. You know, grandparents' house always had a lot of people there. You know, mine was the same way. How did, you know, being 14, making that executive decision, how did that affect you going into high school? Because right now, also you in high school, entering high school, high school. How did that affect you? You know, intermingling the two, if that makes sense.
So, great question. So, believe it or not, Lance, and unless you really know me from childhood up roots, I was an excellent student.
Gotcha.
Always, I never had a problem, you know, I was on honor roll, never had a problem, make sports teams, none of that ever.
Okay.
So I still kind of kept that intact, but it started to affect my attendance a little bit because now I'm staying out.
Out late.
You know, coming home late and sneaking in the house and supposed to be in at one time and sneaking back out. And then I started to get involved with grown women at that point, 10th grade year. So that really changed me because I felt like, you know, I'm taking care of households. Nobody's really doing anything for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm paying bills. So, you know, you really couldn't tell me much. And I carried the attitude into school. I felt like I was equal to the teacher. Like, you don't, there's not much you could tell me. But again, like I said, I kept, my grades were always excellent. And, you know, people that don't know me and, you know, heard of me, they don't really understand. I've always been a super intelligent guy as far as book smarts, always.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a good thing for me. I didn't graduate. 12th grade year, got busted.
Is that right?
Went to prison at 18 years old.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't
With 10 years.
Already. Okay.
No, didn't graduate.
Because I was going to ask you, because I know I was going to ask you a little bit about basketball, because I seen, like, obviously playing for Queen Anne's. If I'm not mistaken, this is what, like 93, 94, if I'm not mistaken. Might
have been 92. The one you sent me was 92.
I think it might have been 92. Yeah, I think
94 got locked up.
94 got locked. Okay, because I know, man, like, you know, because y'all always battling. Always, you know, Miko always talks to me about this too, and like Queen Anne's, man, like even looking up when I was looking up, I looked up Gary Gould and looked up Richard Bowser and looked up you and looked up a lot of the Queen Anne's guys back in the day, man. Y'all playing freaking Glen Burnie and Northeast and Arundel and
Arundel.
Like it was different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like what you remember about some of them games, man, and even some of the guys that either you played with or against that maybe some of us know or don't know that was nice.
Man, bro. We were super talented, bro. We were super talented. We had that year that clip that you found. That year we had, it was myself, Trevin Denby, Rick Burt, I'm not sure if you know him, Marcus and Jeff Hollis, Jeff who coaches Queen Anne's, D. Fisher, Dave Williams, Vernon Ashley, Lamont Downs. We had a solid team, but the only thing that we would run up against was size.
Okay.
We had no size. And we were playing against all schools across the bridge. Just about every team we played had a 6'5" or taller center. Most of them 6'6", 6'7". I remember playing against this one guy, man, that played for Southern and Hardwood. I'm not sure if you're a basketball historian from Maryland, you pretty much know, but the boy, Chatney Howard, played for Southern and Hardwood. Man, this guy, he might have been the nicest person that I've ever shared the court with, that I could say personally. 6'4", 6'5", crazy bounce, handle the ball, shoot it. I mean, if he get anywhere near the paint, he dunking on you.
Dunking. Wow, man. That's
then you had the twins. Then you had the twins in Annapolis. It was a set of twins, 2 guards. They was nasty. Then you had 2 twin tower set of twins for Glen Burnie. Both of them was 6'7".
Cross that water, man. Cross that water.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, we could compete, but like, man, it was, when it come down to, playoffs and all that, we really didn't stand a chance when you start. They just were too big for us.
Yeah. And like you said, you said those names. So I was gonna say, Trevor Denby, Ricky Sparks, Brian Marsh, like you said, Jeff Marcus Hollis, Marcus Brown, D. Fisher, Lamont Downs. Yeah. So you definitely played with some guys. I was gonna ask you. Yeah, I'm looking at a little something, man. Well, because I was going. It's funny about. I didn't know you played with Jeff and Marcus, because I was just asking Mika yesterday. Because I think it was Marcus. He's come to the Y. I think it was Marcus. Yeah, he's come to the Y sometimes. So I know a little bit of his game, but I was asking her like the difference of their games or how they played it. She didn't see him, but so I'll ask you. As far as Marcus and Jeff, like how was the Hollis boys?
Okay, so Jeff, 3-point marksman.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, wasn't really athletic. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't the fastest, quickest, but he would knock that thing down from anywhere. Now, Marcus was a bruiser. He reminds you a lot of Nate.
Oh, okay.
And he was kind of undersized. Marcus maybe was 6'2", maybe 6'3" tops. But he could get busy down on that post. Had a little mid-range game. He was solid. All 3 of the Hollis boys were solid. You probably played against Kyle, right?
I was just getting ready to say I played against Kyle, who used to come to the Y. Yeah, I seen Kyle last night. Yeah.
All three of those boys was pretty solid, man.
Yeah.
But Ricky Sparks though, Derek Burke.
Yeah.
Derek Burke. Yeah, he was tough.
Yeah.
He was tough. He was tough.
That's what's up. Tough. Yeah. I was just looking at some of the names and whatnot, and I see y'all had blew out St. Peter and Paul and won the Christmas tournaments, and y'all it was one looks like 104-47, and then
that's the only time we got to play Eastern Shore schools.
I was gonna say, how many times did y'all get to play? Probably not a lot, right?
Christmas tournaments. That's it.
That's it. Yeah,
we would play Kent every year, because that was like our rival. We used to play Kent, but like St. Peter and Paul, like we only would like scrimmage Easton. Right. Now I'm gonna tell you this year, 92 Easton squad was tough.
Oh yeah, 92 Easton squad was tough. Was Michael Guy still on that team? Was that Michael Guy Lamont? Was that Michael Guy 92?
It was was Mike. No, wait a minute. No, did he play with Monte Banks?
Yeah, I think he might be a senior on that team. I think
Monte Banks, Mike Guy, Jason Brown,
JB,
Bear,
Bear,
Markel,
Markel Pinkett, And you know how I remember that, because we had we haven't had very many, but we had an alumni game in 2008, and that 92 team played against the 96. No, the 98 team was Shelton and them. I think it was 98 Yeah, it was Shelton and them. Shelton against Martin them. Shelton Martin them. They played against each other. That team was tough, that 92 team. Yeah.
Monte Banks, bro, so smooth. Bro.
Yeah.
Monte Banks, he was so tough. Smooth.
Not talked about enough.
And I'm going to tell you who was underrated. And he wasn't even really a basketball player. But if he had played, Brandon Potter.
Is that right? Tough.
Bro. Brandon Potter was tough, bro. And he wasn't even really, he was a football player for real. But he was so athletic, jump out the gym, physical, fast.
Now what Brandon Potter is this? Because I know Bron and Brandon, the younger Ron Potter.
No,
You talk obviously this big.
I'm talking about Big Brian.
Right, Big
They
Brian.
used to
Okay,
play football, also running back.
okay, got you. Okay.
That Brian, he
Okay,
was
got you. Yeah.
tough. Big Norm was tough.
Norm and Norm.
Norm was tough.
Yeah.
That was a good team, but we scrimmaged them. I remember they came to Queen Anne's gym. We went at it all day, bro. Jason Brown, he's so underrated.
JB, oh my God, bro. I seen JB at the
5'10", 5'11", big man.
Yeah.
Footwork was crazy.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
Footwork incredible,
so
man.
Underrated.
One of my favorite guys. One of my favorite guys to watch playing, because growing up they used to have men league and stuff. I was watching there, and just to have a conversation with, great dude, man. That's my guy right there, man. Shout out JB.
That's still my guy to there.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. So cool, man. So you talked about high school, talked about basketball, talked about not graduating, and if I'm not mistaken, you said at 18 was your first time doing prison time. Talk about that stretch from 18 to when, and what happened, when you got out that time.
Oh man, so I went in at 18, man. First charge ever. They gave me 10 years, bro.
For the first charge?
First charge ever. No probation, no nothing. 10 years. This was when the infamous Judge Souse sat on a bench, and it was a sweep. A whole lot of us got locked up, man. Older, young. So I went in at 18, man. But the crazy part about it, and this is probably why I went back a couple more times, I was never uncomfortable when I went to prison. Even at 18, I wasn't uncomfortable. I was lucky enough to go to ECI, so most of the time you got neighborhood guys all around.
Yeah.
My grandfather was actually already down there in prison, but he was on the other side. He was on the west side. I was on the east side.
Okay.
So it was a couple homeboys, a couple people from my neighborhood that was around. People from Easton and Salisbury that I knew, Cambridge, and all that. So I was in kind of work my program, because in there, if you don't have a diploma, you got to go to school. They force you to go to school. You're going to work even if you do got a diploma. So you got two options. You're either going to go to school, you're going to get a trade, or you're going to work kitchen, whatever.
Yeah. Which is good.
So went in, and like I said, I was never really uncomfortable, man.
Can I stop you for a second? I don't want to interrupt you. Where do you think that comes from? Not being uncomfortable, being comfortable. I know you say a lot of people, but where do you think? I mean, 18, I gotta see if you said like the second time you went in, something like that. But man, at 18 to have that comfortability, is that just because it's your upbringing? Is it because what you seen, who you what? Like, you know what I mean?
All of that stuff probably played a part, man, because at a young age, man, me and my homeboys, man, we were involved in, we did pretty much anything that you could think about in the streets, right? We had done some heinous stuff, and like it wasn't, I don't know, I guess I would have to attribute to my upbringing. And then I was always a person too, Lance, that no matter where I went, I could always get comfortable. Yeah. Like even during the times when Grasonville, Cambridge, Denton, Chestertown, none of us got along, right?
Talk about
I could always go to any town.
Yeah.
And never have a problem.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, most of the stuff that we got into, in these opposing towns, none of it was ever my problem.
Got you.
I never really had no, real beefs with nobody out of town, nowhere. I've got some scrabbles and scrubbles just because where I'm from, but as far as having a problem, like I moved to Cambridge in 1998 in the heart of the Grasonville Cambridge beef. Living in the projects, 600 side.
Talk about it.
But we'll get into that. But yeah, in prison, man, it was I would attribute to my upbringing, man. I've never, I didn't feel really no pressure. I really don't fear nothing. Even then I really didn't fear anything. And that was the moment. I guess after a year and a half in there, I started to get acclimated, started to know people. When you spend that much time year after year in there with people. So me and this dude from Jersey kind of got tight. And come to find out he was a blood.
So I was gonna ask you, okay.
So that's how I came into that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a process you go through. You gotta, get squared up with 2 or 3 guys. You gotta hold your own, whatever the process is. I went through that, and I was stamped. And from that point on, of course, I escalated in rank,
Uh-huh.
and I started doing that. But one thing I never done, Lance, even when I came home, I never brought anybody in.
You never
Because
you need to get in this.
Always in the back of my mind, right? I always question, because some of the stuff that you see or that you're indulged in when you partake in that lifestyle gets a little heinous, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And always in the back of my mind, I never wanted to be responsible for somebody else that I introduced to this lifestyle and something happened to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's what they call breeding. I never bred anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I per se never had any pups.
Gotcha.
So so that kind of really made it easier in the prison, because once you get involved in that kind of stuff, then you got, certain phones people can't use, and you get certain privileges and things like that.
Yeah.
So that, I think that kind of played into me not really fearing going back to prison, because it was so comfortable for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something, thanks for sharing that, because like you said, you can only go by what you see and what you think. If you don't know, you don't know. But I remember growing up, and like I used to always think like the whole Bloods and Crips thing was a West Coast thing. Yeah. You're right. Not even knowing that, it's everywhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I remember being in LA my first time there, and running into, and for the first time having to be mindful of what colors I had on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, which is kind of weird. Like, that, like, you can't wear that, and running into a real life Crip, which is good, cool dude, good dude as well, but I appreciate you saying it, because I was going to ask you, like, what made you get in that. You basically said that, and the fact that you didn't breed anybody in, bring anybody in, I still felt like that was still, like you said, in the back of your mind, maybe even subconsciously, God even talking to you, being there, because somebody else might be like, come on, you got to get in this, you get this, come on, man.
Most people do that.
Yeah.
Just to enhance the numbers.
Yeah.
Because it's a sense of security when you do that.
Yep. So I don't want to get in necessarily every time you went, but let me ask you this. What do you think was I'll say the final straw for your conversion, so to speak, from you being, like you said, that guy that, like you said, that name rings bells, so to speak. You're about Sorrell or Andre Sorrell. I'm just talking about me when I was a kid, like, you know what I'm saying, like someone you didn't mess with, but even though, like you said, you was cool with everybody, even during the beach. I remember East and Grasonville, stuff like that. But then going to prison at a certain period of time, and being like, you know what, I don't need to do this. I'm ready to change my life. How did that start?
Well, I did 3 bits total. So over the course of those 3 bits, I gave the system almost 14 years of my life. So this final time in 2006, I got arrested in Chestertown, in Fairleigh. I was in Fairleigh, got busted.
Yeah, I know about it.
Yeah, so they gave me 20 years, suspend 8, left me with 12, first 10, no parole.
Okay.
So by this time now, prison is changing a little bit though.
Okay.
It ain't as much freedom. You can't really get to the COs like you used to, and so like, and I think that was like my proving grounds, because that's when God started to work on me, right? Because I can remember so vividly being in the Kent County Detention Center waiting to get sentenced, right? But by this time, like, something hit me, right? And my spirit told me to contact every woman that I'd ever hurt, right? And apologize to them.
Wow. While you sitting in Kent County Detention Center?
I'm in Kent County Detention Center. And I just got done reading my Bible, whatever. I'm sitting in my room, So I'm just meditating, right? And the spirit tells me, contact every person that you've hurt and apologize. So I did contact as many people I could get in contact with. And, I did that. So part of my daily routine, I'm praying every day, I'm reading. It ain't much to do, working out, push-ups in there, cut up a little bit, because everybody in the local county jails or whatever. So time comes, 5-6 months pass, I go to court. So I'll come back. Dudes, first question they ask you, what happened? When was time to give you whatever? So I was like, man, they gave me 12 years, first 10, no parole. And they like, good God, bro, you're gonna have to do like 9, 10 on that. So I'm like, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? So we talk. So I go to sleep at night, right? I wake up like 3 something in the morning, Lance. I'm just laying there in the dark, man. I'm just looking at the ceiling, man. And the spirit told me, you'll be home in 3.5 years. No worry.
Wow. God.
Literally.
Wow.
So the next day we get up. And it's people that can vouch for this. Tyree Valentine was in there. My boy Tay Ward and Drady. So I said, man, you know what? Man, I'll be home about 3.5 years. So they like, man, are you crazy? Ain't no way. I said, man, I'll be home in 3.5 years. I came home, Lance, 3 years, 7 months.
Yeah, that's it. That's crazy. God, boy, he real, man. He real.
3 years, 7 months. So what happened was, I went back to court because my lawyer kept putting in for the appeals or whatever. They kept denying it. Then I put in for the modification, they denied it. Put in for the post-conviction, they denied it. So this is when they started giving people the drug program, which they called the 8505, Mental Health and Hygiene Act.
Okay.
So I told my lawyer, I said, man, this is the last straw. We gotta put in for this. So he was like, do you think your drug use is extensive enough to get accepted into? I'm like, man, listen, we're gonna try. That's all we got.
Right.
He put it in. I probably had about a little over a year in that he put it in. They denied it, told me come back when I get some more time in.
Okay.
So me and my lawyer talk or whatever. So he like, do another year. I'll put it in another year from the day. So by the time we put it back in, I was at 2 years and some change. Mm-hmm. So when I go back to court this time, they give me the program.
Okay.
So what happens is when they give you the drug program, they wait for your bid to come. So you got to still sit at the institution until the bid opens. Mm-hmm. But they suspend all your time and make your time probation.
Gotcha.
They'll give you 5 years probation. So if you complete the drug program, you get out, stay out for 5 years, no trouble. Mm-hmm. They do away with the sentence. Mm-hmm. So I came home 3 years and 7 months on 12, first 10, no parole, bro. And I knew from that point. Now in the process too, I skipped a lot of stuff because while I was in prison, I was going to college. I pretty much completed HVAC. So I actually was, the day that I left for the drug program, I was supposed to take my state test for my HVAC certification.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So I missed out on that, but.
Yeah, so, I know you went to theology school while you was in there, right?
Theology school. I graduated from theology school in 2008. Mm-hmm. And like, bro, that experience in prison, as far as my spiritual growth, I couldn't have been at a better place, bro. And the reason I say that is because I was afforded the ability to be myself, right? Worship God with a freedom that I've never experienced since then. Mm-hmm. You got probably 400 men, bro, mm-hmm. praising God. Wow. And being authentic. Wow. So you can imagine the power,
man, that's
the presence that you felt in there.
Yeah.
So I knew from that point on, I said, man, this is just amazing to me. Yeah. It's like, it really renewed not just my mind, but everything about me. The biggest thing it renewed was my heart, because I started to care about how I treated people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I started to care about how, how I respond to things. And once I locked into God, man, I don't know, it was like, if I could tell, and if I could give any person a bit of advice, that would be the first thing and the last thing that I tell them, man. Because it changed my life, bro. I promise you, it changed my life. Once I just started to lock into God, bro. I don't know, man. It just,
it's something about that.
I can't even
you can't
put it in words. The magnitude.
Yeah, because it's like this, man. It's like, it's just like any relationship. You know what I mean? And it's like a relationship with your wife, right? Relationship with God, relationship with a sibling, relationship with a child. Like, you can't put it in words, because that's how close. And it's the same thing with God. Like, it's a relationship with him. Because I was going to ask you, and you can still answer this. Did you have any? I know you talked about childhood and talked about growing up with your grandma and your parents stuff. But I was going to ask you, did you have any times when you went to church as a child, where you had any spiritual background, or was it all? This was just all. And when you became an adult, God has spoke to you. You started reading, you started praying, and dealt with you like that.
No, I always had somewhat of a spiritual foundation.
Okay.
Because my grandmothers on both sides were both spiritual ladies. And I'm gonna tell you who was very, very monumental to keeping God in front of me when I was young. Pastor Arlene Taylor, God rest her soul.
Oh yes, God rest her soul, man. Fellowship with her. Me and my church have fellowship with her maybe like 2 years or so before she passed, man. Yeah.
Man, she would pick us up, take us to summer schools and church on Sunday school. And so periodically all throughout my life, I was always, God, put in front of me. It's always been a part. I didn't really buy in. I didn't really,
But that foundation was set early.
Yes, it was.
That's real. That's what I was going to ask, because I always tell a lot of people, like, I told somebody this a couple of days ago, go back to your spiritual foundation. Like, sometimes you feel like you're so lost and we so out there and something like going right, and you kind of turn your back on God. But if you go back to that spiritual foundation and think back, like you said, when you was a child, same thing I said to that person, it's that foundation is still there. And then when you need them, like you said, all you got to do is pray. All you got to do is talk to them. All you got to do is what you're doing is you're building that relationship, right? You're building that relationship, and that's what you did. So to think you're gonna have to do at least 10 years, and you do 3 years, 7 months, coming out of that, my first question with that is, how did your outlook now change? Like, I'm sure now you feel like you found your purpose, was what to do. And then my second part of that, from a street standpoint, is, did you have any naysayers or any people that was like, how'd you get out that quick, or I thought you was in the gang. I thought, did you have anybody like that? I'm sure it's always one person that questions.
Well, yeah. So the first part of the question, repeat that for me. The first part.
It was basically, when you came out, your new outlook on life. What was your new outlook? Did you feel like you found your purpose?
Yeah. So for me, right, after God had proven himself to be, he spoke to me and then made it come to pass. There's no way I was turning my back on him, right?
That's right.
And the old saints will tell you, man, when you experience them for yourself,
that's it.
Not what your grandmother told you.
Yeah.
Once you experience them for yourself, man, I'm telling you, it's a world life changer. It's a world changer. Like, and that's what I felt like I was indebted. There's no way that I could go back and repeat these cycles after he spoke to me and showed me that he was real. So a person can tell me all they want about, this Jesus stuff ain't real and all. I know better. I experienced it for myself. You can't tell me. So of course you have people, and I don't blame people, because my pattern had showed that I come home, go back to prison, come home, go back to prison. So that was like the common thought. He'll be home a year. I remember when I got with my wife, they was telling my wife, he ain't gonna be home a year. He gonna get your house busted. You ain't gonna, you stupid and this and that. But when I came home, I was, I don't know, I just didn't have a taste for the clubs. I didn't have a taste to, to sleep with all these women as I previously had. I don't know. It was just a renewed mind. Just like the word says, man, it was a renewed mind. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did, man. Every day that I woke up, I said, man, I just got to be better, man. I got to stay locked into this. And it was rough, bro. Coming from the streets to coming home, working at the outlets, making $9 an hour part-time. Yeah. I got 7 kids.
Got 7.
Pressures from the kids' mothers, and so it was a tough journey, but I knew that all things would be added unto me. I was convinced.
That's it. That's right. That's
right.
You
know what I'm saying? Because I was seeking. I knew things. I knew all things.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I knew all things were gonna be added, and he never ceases to amaze. He's still blowing my mind, bro.
I know he is.
Now with the transition from the blood stuff, right? Now it was a very tense moment in prison, because I'd have been to prison numerous times, so most of the guys that was with me, they knew me,
right?
But they knew this time something was different about me. So they was like, bro, like, don't mess with us, like, you know what I mean? And I just told them straight up, man. But by this time, I was a 5-star. So I had a little pull.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was a 5-star general by that time. I had a little pull. I could call shots and all that. So what I did was I reached out to my big dog. Like, bro, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. And it is what it is. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't supposed to be able to walk away, they say, right?
That's why I asked, yeah.
You ain't supposed to be able to walk away, right? But I got a pardon. Just like I got a pardon of my sins.
Pardon your sins.
Talk about on that side too.
Talk about
you know what I mean? And it wasn't accepted by a lot of people, but
didn't matter.
It was the hand of God that was on me that I never even had to deal with any backlash or kickback or none of that. I addressed the one person that I should have contacted, let him know what was up. He said, man, I respect it. Wow. I'll send it up the chain.
That's it.
And that's just what it was, man. So, that God made that transition so easy.
Yeah. And that's because he made the transition easy because you gave him a yes. He made it easy because I always tell people, God can get you one way or another. You can do it the easy way
or the hard way.
The hard way, and like you said, you seen what, like you said, I love the word you used earlier, proven. He proved it to you. But like you said, why I'm gonna go back? You know what I mean? If I know I can, it's just like me, if I know I can rely on you, what I'm gonna go back and try to go to somebody else. But nah, God got me.
I know you're guaranteed.
Did it.
God's a guarantee. That's everything else is a baby.
That's it. That's it, man. So that's amazing, man. That's amazing. Man, thanks for sharing it. You were talking about a little bit about meeting your wife. Shout out to Mo, and you talked a little bit about your family and whatnot, your kids. Talk a little bit about that transition as far as you getting out and, like you said, meeting your wife, and like you said, I'm gonna be honest, Dre, I don't know if I knew you had 7. I might have been one off. So I don't know if I knew you had 7. I don't know. I'm about to miss something with my research, but talk to me a little bit about that, big bro.
Okay, so I get out of prison, and when I got out of prison, I had this mind that I wanted to be, because I had a baby girl by my youngest daughter's mother, which my daughter lives with me now, Andre. Her mother got killed, God rest her soul. Her and I were actually together for a short period when I came home. Things didn't work out. So I was actually living in Damascus, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
When I first came home, I wasn't even on the shore.
That was smart, probably too, right?
Yeah, it was great for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't have no influence, nobody pulling and tugging, trying to come get me and all that, because I hadn't really reached out to many people.
Right.
So most people didn't even know where I was at.
Yeah.
So I was up there. Things didn't work out. I ended up moving back to the shore. And I was blessed to be off the radar again because I lived in Queen Anne, which is like right off of 404, nothing but fields around, farmland. I actually moved in with my uncle. So this is so crazy how me and my wife connected. Previously, before I went in, the girls whose house they busted, her brother had a child by that girl.
Oh, wow.
So I guess, you know how it is when people know you coming home.
Yeah.
So I guess this female was telling people that me and her were going to be back together. Now, mind you, she got a child by my wife's brother.
Right.
So now people like, man, you better tell your brother, you know what I mean? Leave her alone. Dre this, Dre that, Dre that. So my wife reached out to me on Facebook. And she was like, yeah. So she was like, how you doing? I keep hearing these rumors about you and my brother got some type of beef going on and you supposed to do. I said, listen, sweetheart. I said, man, I don't have no problem with your brother at all. Your brother can have her. I have no intentions on dealing with this chick ever. So I don't know who's starting this rumor about, I'm going to do something to your brother and things of this nature, but it ain't, it's not true. You don't even have to worry about that. But I'm going to rewind it. I'm going to rewind back. Before I went to prison, I actually tried to talk to my wife.
Okay, I think you told me a little bit of the story. Yeah.
I actually tried to talk to my wife.
She wouldn't try here, though, was she?
I paid her sister to get her to come out there so I could get at her.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? So she comes out there, I push up. So anyway, she like, nah. So her sister gives me the number. I'm like, cool, I got the number. I'm gonna bag her. She like, if you want, I'm gonna bag her. So I'm calling her. She would pick up the phone. How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? When can I take you out? You know what I mean? I want to get to know you. No, you can't take me out. I'm like, yo, what did I do to you? She was like, nothing. I'm just not into it. I don't want no man that's in the streets. Like, you can't take me out. I said, all right, let's go shopping or something. And no holes, no strings attached. Like, we'll just hang out with you, take you out, treat you. No, can't buy me nothing. So I'm like, all right. So once we reconnected, we started to talk a little bit, right? So I guess now she's seeing the transition too.
That's right.
So one day I just hit her, asked her for a number. So she gave me a number or whatever. So we talking, boom, boom, boom. Actually, on the first date we were supposed to meet up, she stood me up.
Did she?
I'm like, yo. Yeah, well, she ended up like telling me that her, she had took her daughters to the African shop to get their hair braided. They didn't get done till late. So she hit me. I was already on my way to the spot where we were supposed to meet at. She hit me like she ain't coming. She could make it. I'm like, oh, you just stood me up. So she be laughing, joking, or whatever. So it's just crazy. We just started talking every day, right? And found myself, man, with this high school love again, man. I'm on the phone, falling asleep on the phone, and don't want to hang up. Yeah. So we talking for a couple months, man. And I'll never forget it. It was a Wednesday night. We was on the phone till like 3-something in the morning. She had to go to work the next morning. But I didn't have to go to work till 11, so I was cool. So we get off the phone, I go to sleep. So I have a dream, Lance. I'm at the church, standing there in my suit, my tux, all that. I'm getting married. But when the bride's coming up the aisle, I don't know who it is. I can't see it. She got the veil. So when she gets up there, I pull the veil back. It's her. I see her face plain as day, yo. So I'm like, yo. So the next morning when I called her, I said, babe, listen, don't think I'm weird or nothing. Or I'm some type of psycho, weird dude or whatever. I said, but you're gonna be my wife. So she was like, what? She said, I don't know nothing about that. I said, God already showed me. She said, well, God ain't showed me. I said, this is what we do. I said, we're gonna fast and pray on it until God reveal it to you.
That's it. Can't go wrong there.
So we fasted, prayed on it, prayed on it. And we connected, man, and I ended up getting a chance to take her out, and it was history after that, bro. It was just like, I don't know, it was magic.
Yeah. That's
I
real,
proposed
man.
in 6 months.
You proposed at 6?
I proposed in 6 months, bro.
Oh yeah,
we were married in 10.
Yeah, that's real. What year y'all get married?
2011.
Yeah,
we 12 years in June.
Okay. Yeah. 12 for us. 12 for us. So and I asked you that. Yeah. And I asked you that, bro, because I listened to what you had said earlier when you talked about, being younger and, dating older women and you could pretty much, you run the street, you pretty much have you wanted. You didn't say that, I was saying that. And then, but Mo, once she inbox you like a G, about her brother. That's when you told me that, that's hard. Like that's hard. Like she inbox you like, I just want to make sure, like, what I'm saying, everything going good with my brother.
Let me tell you something about my wife, bro. Don't let the pretty face fool you, man. She's a pit bull in a skirt, bro.
Yeah. I peeked it a little bit. I picked up on it. So I respect that. So I love how she inboxed you. I remember you telling the story when we got together summer before last about her not giving a plan first, stuff like that. And I say all that and bring her up obviously because I know she has helped continue to shape you, and you guys are walking together as one with God. And then I'm gonna jump a little bit, but talk about how you guys have built something with Sorrell Getaways and your entrepreneurship and all that. Talk a little bit about just together what you guys have built or are still building.
Yeah. So I don't know. I always felt like the moment we got together, that it had to be something powerful because the enemy tried to attack it so many ways. I'm talking about consistently attack it. And I'm thankful that God showed it to me. And I was able to explain to her what was coming before it actually started happening. And she's like, nah, I'm in it. You know what I mean? Until you show me something that matches this stuff, I'm in it. So we start to build and, everything's, man, I don't know, man. I'm so blessed to have her, man. When I count my blessings, I definitely count her twice, man. But with the travel business, man, she didn't really want to do it.
Is that right?
Yeah, and she's always been like, she would tell me when she was young, she used to order the magazines, come to the house, all the vacation pictures and all. So she's always, and we was traveling a little bit, right? And I'm like, babe, I think we should go and start this travel business. So she was like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to deal with people. So I'm like, babe, I think we should do it. So time goes by, we don't do it. So like a month goes by. I'm like, babe, it's still on me though. It's on me.
It's on you heavy. When it's on you heavy like that,
I'm like, babe, we doing it. So she was like, what? I said, yeah, we doing it. We got to do this. I said, call your cousin up because her cousin introduced it to us. Thank God for Tanya. And we paid our little money, got it set up. And I mean, the first year, man, it was rough. Like we might have booked 6, 7 trips the entire year. A couple of them was ours. So then we just started, learning about the business, her more so than me. She just became so knowledgeable. Her people skills are magnetic. Her service to people, every trip is like her own. That's how she handles it. She puts a personal touch on everything that she does. So, I mean, with the network that I have of people that I know, I figured, man, at some point we're gonna have to blow. So 2 years come in, we getting a little better. 3 years come in, now we sitting pretty, we booking trips pretty regular. And man, last year, FedEx shows up at the door, man, and with this box. So my wife get the box. Like, what is this? man, in the host agency that we're under, there's 70,000 plus agents, right? We were number one.
Wow, 70,000, man. Hey,
Yeah,
that's dope,
over
man.
70,000. We were
That's
number
dope.
one. And we didn't even know it until we got the plaque.
That's crazy. That's dope.
Never even knew it.
That's dope.
We would just had our head down, man, grinding.
Yeah.
And after that, during this time, I was still working at the Department of Transportation over here.
Okay.
And I just got to a point where it was so frustrating. The environment had become so toxic that I resigned. That's when I told my wife, because I've been talking to her about starting the transportation anyway. I said, well, we need it just for the travel anyway. It would be a great thing to attach to the travel business. We do the airport runs. We can offer that service with the business. And once I started that, I actually resigned that after we had the conversation, I resigned that next week. I had already started my paperwork for the LLC for the transportation business. And it's crazy, man. God is just so amazing. I knew nothing about medical transportation. So I was, I like to investigate a little bit, read and study. So I'm on YouTube just looking at courier stuff because my intention was to do courier in airport transportation.
Right.
So I was going to do like the labs and all that. I run across this thing on there talking about you can easily make 7,000 a month with medical couriers. I'm looking, listen, okay. So I get off the joint. Now I'm looking up medical courier. So 2 companies pop up. Next morning I call them. Hey, how you doing? I'm Andre Sorrell. I started a transportation company, Set LLC. I was just trying to gain information on how your company works. Oh well, we pretty much we deal directly with the insurance companies, and we do workman's comp. So we transport employees that's been injured to doctor's appointments, lawyer, this and that. And I said, cool. So I was like, so what are the specifications with that? You got business? You got your business license? Yes. You got your EIN? Yes. Okay, well, we're going to send you a packet over, get you started. So the paperwork out immediately, sent it back. The same day they hit me back with welcome to the team.
Same day.
So, same day. So I'm like, wow. So I get on, start looking. Now, in the meanwhile, I'm still waiting to hear back from the other company because I sent my paperwork for them too.
Right.
Next day, welcome to the team. So, man, and that's been a blessing in disguise, man. It's freed up so much time, man, for me to be accessible for my wife and things to be, to be done around here, my kids, and and it also takes some pressure off my wife. So, man, I'm just grateful. That we have 2 businesses that's starting. Second one is really starting to thrive. The first one is thriving heavily, and then my wife still also has a day job. She's a anti-money laundering investigator. I think we've discussed that before. And man. So the business stuff is good, man. And now I'm working on some stuff on my own, and me and my wife are in discussions about starting she wants a little boutique type clothing store. So picking that idea on. I don't feel like it's nothing. I feel like it's a yes for anything that I ask God for.
That's right. That's right.
So.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about, you kind of brushed over a little bit, but another opportunity that you started recently was with BAM, building African American minds with the workforce development. I know a lot of people, don't know that yet, and I was actually even telling Mika we gotta get a press release or something out, because the only reason I say it like that is because, again, I talked about your name back before, but now Andre Sorrell, he a part of something, it's a stamp, like you stamp it. And I feel like, you being added to BAM, to the roster, so to speak, as I call it, is really a good look for the area and for what ultimately the mission is. So can you talk a little bit about, just your role there and, whatever you want to share about that?
Absolutely. And that's been I don't know, man. And again, I give all credit to God, man.
Mind blowing, ain't it?
This, yeah, this is a job that I didn't even apply for, bro.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, man, and that right, this opportunity has opened my mind up, right?
Mhm.
And it's even made me stand deeper on just the principles and dependence on God, right?
Mhm.
Because you know, a lot of times, you know, they're on the outside looking in,
That's
right?
right.
And people have all these judgments about you who don't really know you, never really had conversations about you, right? But that showed me that something that I'm doing is pleasing in God's eyes,
Definitely.
man, because He keeps affording me opportunities like this opportunity I didn't even apply for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm so grateful to be able to work with the Dr. Bell, Dina Daly, Derek Daly, Kendrick,
Mm-hmm.
just a whole roster, you know, Miss Short.
Yep.
It's just a whole roster of great individuals, right? And one thing we all have in common is we want to help.
That's it.
And this all started from a conversation that I had with Derek. I guess it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
He reached out to me. You know, we were talking. He's like, man, we need to set up a meeting, man, to talk or whatever. So we talk and you know, hit it off great. Derek's great guy. A lot of people don't know him, you know, and again, they make these illogical, I don't know, assessments of people
Yeah.
that they've never had a conversation
Yep.
with, but
Yep. Exactly.
you're really not going to find a better person. His entire mission is to help us. That's his only goal, and
That's
he's
it.
doing a heck of a job.
That's it. Yes, he is.
So let me speak about what the actual position entails. So when they reached out to me, Dr. Bell, which is a mentor of mine, most people don't know that, but me and him forged a relationship years ago when my son was in school. My son Dejour, he took a liking to my son, and my son was one of the. Dr. Bell was probably the only person that he really respected and thought that loved him there. So
That's
he was
real.
responsive to him. And we kind of built our relationship off the back of that, right? And then I started to learn about, the work he's been doing with young men and, Ty and, the family. So he brought me on. He was like, man, when this opportunity became available, I didn't think it was a better person to put in the position because oftentimes a lot of guys make excuses on why they can't be employed and
That's
why
right.
they can't get this and why they can't get this job. He said, but you've torn down every excuse.
Every excuse, every barrier, yep.
Yeah, I'm a 3-time felon. I've had multiple government jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always about, and I used to feel that way though, Lance. Oh, they ain't gonna hire me, man. You know, everything, just odds are stacked against us. And but the closer I got to God, it gave me a different type of confidence. And I got a bunch of no's. Don't get me wrong. I got a bunch of no's. My wife can attest to this. I would sit when I moved here to Delaware, I was sitting here, Lance, and put in 30 to 40 applications every day.
I believe it.
Not a week, every day, applying to any and everything, right? And I just feel like once you prepare yourself, build yourself, right? But it all starts with God. Don't get me wrong. Let's not get it confused, right? But I prepared the right way to the point where I didn't have a problem leading with my past.
That's right. That's right.
Because I knew the person that I was presenting to you today didn't match that.
That's it.
And I felt like what I am today before you carries more weight than what that says.
Man, that's real, man. God, well, you put me. Let me stop you for a second, man. Because you just made my mind go so many places when you said that. Just staying on that last thing you said when you talked about letting your past lead you. I like that because one thing I know you're like this. I've heard you speak, preach. I do it is that I don't mind reflecting on what I've done because I'm not that person anymore.
No,
you know what I'm saying? When you're in something, yeah, you might feel ashamed for this, but if you're not that person anymore, and that's what people really need to hear. Like you said, those type of stories that I was this, now I'm that. Now you see it. just like you said
Yeah.
too, you talked about the applications. We don't see all the no's, but we do see the yes. But as you said, it's a lot of no's. But you talked about obviously God being first in your mindset. You talked about being confident, but also I'll just add that you also have a lot of faith. You have to have a lot of faith in God.
That's what gave me the confidence
to continue to have the fortitude to go forward, even after all those no's, says a lot about your faith in God as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's exactly what I meant when I said the confidence. And it was the faith, believing that I know God's going to make a way.
That's right.
You've already done it.
Yeah.
And you've done this, and that's way more big to me. You delivered me from prison like Paul.
Yes.
You pretty much made the walls. You started a storm and broke the locks.
Facts.
The walls fell down for me.
Facts.
So you're not gonna tell me that he's not gonna provide me a job where I'm able to take care of my family.
Yeah.
I know he is.
Yeah. That's
so
real.
It's, and man, I'm gonna tell you something else I want to touch on too, brother.
Sure.
Blending these families. When I first got with my wife, whoa, so tough.
Talk about it. Yeah.
So tough, bro. It was a huge challenge, and it almost made me walk away.
Is that right? Yeah.
But now,
easy.
Love always wins, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, man. And when I reflect back on it, I understand it more because I didn't really put myself in a position of the children. I'm this new guy coming around. When they've had their mom to themselves because the dad was already out of the household, she was divorced, and me coming in here sucking up time. Every time they look up, I'm kissing and hugging on her. They're not used to, And they were, the oldest was 13, youngest was 4.
13, was it boy 13?
Girl.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Youngest was 4. And man, I went through a lot, man, put a lot of time in, but man, I'm so blessed today that, all of them, man, it's like they came from my loins, man. The relationship is no different, man.
Yeah.
And to be loved by, man, is special, man. I got a great group.
I'm glad you shared that, man, because there's a lot of blended families and
it's hard.
It's hard. Right. So people need to
love
hear that.
Always wins is my motto, man.
I love that. Love always wins, man.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm big on is that we always talk about love. Love is an action word. Sometimes we talk about love always wins. We always talk about my church, obviously the love of Christ and changing lives through the love of Christ as our motto. Yeah. And like you said, I like that love always wins. Love always wins, man. So I appreciate you sharing that. You did talk a little bit about obviously, Dr. Bell being a mentor to you, like he has been to a lot of us that know him from the school system. You talked about your son DeJour and the relationship that they built, and obviously that's how y'all got close. And I mean, God always knows. Like, even if you think back, I'm sure sometimes you're thinking back about that, like, wow, now you look where you at.
Connecting the dots.
Yeah, it's like connecting the dots. Like, now I understand, that. But anyway, so I know you lost him. I think it's coming up on 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. To talk a little bit just about the aftermath. Obviously, I mean, anytime you lose anybody, I know it's tough, but I obviously I can't imagine losing a son. And one thing I've always seen about you is you're always big on the youth anyway. I mean, I've seen you speak at or I've heard about you speaking at King Day, and stuff like that in different areas, Graceville Community Center, and always talking about the youth and stuff. But to have your son, taken from you early, just talk about how that fight has been, because I mean, you would even say, like you said, that was basically like ripping the fabric of your family apart. So talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, bro, that it's so ironic because that actual incident made me a better man, man. And that sounds crazy to people, right? That you could fathom having your son murdered making you a better man. But this is why I say it made me a better man, right? Because it challenged all those loaded thoughts that I had used for years, right? That if you could ever touch my son, you know what I mean? You know how we load these thoughts, what we're gonna say our reaction is gonna be to this, and and it built a I don't want to say a restraint, but it built a fortitude in me, right? To really know that the devil really can't do nothing with me, Lance. Because to be in the moment where someone has taken my son, and for me not to retaliate, not to just throw away everything, just to make something just to do something that's gonna make me feel momentarily better, right? It challenged me in that way, in a discipline, and I've developed a discipline like I've never had, right? I've also developed a deeper, I won't say a deeper love, but it's helped in my relationship so much more because now I want to make the most of every moment.
Every moment, yeah.
Right? But it was so, brother. I didn't see. It was some days I didn't see how I was gonna make it out, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a fight, and it's still a fight.
Right.
Don't get me wrong,
right.
bro.
It's still a fight.
Yeah. It's still a fight, right? But somehow God has given me, man, a sound mind, man, and a peace to know that it's not my fight. It's not my fight. Even going to court, watching these guys laugh as if it's some type of joke, and having to go through the trials and actually witnessing my son getting killed. I seen it. I could hear it. And I don't know, man, it's I can just say, man, I'm a better man because of it. And I would, if I could trade places with my boy, I would. But I'm just so grateful that before that time, because I've missed a lot of time with my children, man. And there's so many hurdles that has been in the way. And the devil has tried so many tactics to rip my children away from me and to keep us separate, right? And I just relish in knowing that me and my son would talk every single day for about a year before he was taken from me, right? And I was able to let him know, that my absence, it was a choice, but it really wasn't a choice, based on my bad decisions. And, sometimes we have to answer for those decisions and it affects people around you. But my son knew that I loved him, and I was just happy that he was able to see me be this person.
Yeah.
And just, that's, but man, my boy, man, I don't know, man, it's definitely made me a better man, though.
That's real, Dre. That's real, Dre, because I know you can hold solace in that, like you said, and I seen it somewhere. I don't know, or maybe I had a conversation with you before, but I know you had talked about y'all having those conversations daily, and I forget kind of what phrase you would use. If he needed something, though, he could, talk to you. Y'all had those conversations, so I know you keep that, and I know that keeps you going, as well. And then obviously, I know you got to be there and obviously strong for the rest of them. But I'm glad that you were able and still are able to grieve. I always say grieve properly, because there's a proper way to do it, and that's not building and stuff like that. And during that time, we changed some messages here and there, and gave some time and stuff, man. So I appreciate you sharing that, because you didn't have to. And like you said, man, it's just a daily thing, and continue prayers, as well, for that. So, and then, it's something, man, when you talk about a loss and getting Real Sports Fan Podcast here with Andre Sorrell, just going to give him a few more moments here. It's been a great podcast so far, but also, on the other side of that, the anti-Black situation, police brutality, let's call it what it is, and him passing way before his time, that's something else you had to deal with on your wife's side, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, I'm not gonna say a lot of people, that happened before a lot of the other stuff in the world, and for it to be so close in Greensboro, I don't think it might did get at first the attention until later. People knew what was going on, reading the details, and even me reading and looking like, wow, like, and I know it's marches and stuff like that going on, but let's talk a little bit about that as well, and him as well, if you don't mind.
Anton, man, great soul, man. He was a fun loving kid. That was my wife's little brother. And he was more of like a son to her. Actually, he grew up like with her son. They were really close. I think a year separated in age, right? So he spent, over the course of my time with my wife, he spent a lot of time here and spent a lot of time with us. Like I say, man, a great soul, just a fun-loving kid, loved to laugh, smile, hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
But that particular thing really took a toll on my family, man. My wife, it started to change my wife a little bit. Mm-hmm. And of course it's natural. I'm just thankful that God, cause he kind of gives me instructions on how to navigate challenging situations, right? So I've kind of learned to kind of remove myself and my personal feelings from a lot of situations, because my wife was going through bouts of depression. So of course things were affected with me and her and the kids, but man, to take these kind of blows, man, and 2-3 year separations, man, and for me, I don't know if it's normal for me to think, but when I'm attacked, now my mind goes to, what is God trying to do for me next? Because I feel it happens every time, right? That the things that's supposed to affect you negatively, God turns these things around in a blessing, some kind of way, right? So I'm thankful that God has given me a mindset and a peace to be able to navigate these things with the intent on what's the purpose, instead of trying to fix things on my own.
That word again, purpose. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like that for my wife, right? She's not a limelight type of person. So, I mean, she was going to the meetings and things like that, but, she intentionally stayed from interviews and didn't want to, because for her, we all know that women are a little more emotional, right? Because for her, it was like reliving it.
Yeah.
If she got more, she got to talk about it, talk about it. And I'm trying to help her heal through the process. So she kind of made some decisions not to kind of, be to the forefront, do video, a lot of interviews, but, also still every step of the way there for, to the meetings and the rallies and whatever. But that those things, man, I don't know, man. But I feel like God is going to, for every fireball he throw, man, I feel like God is going to do something amazing on our side, man.
Yep.
So I don't really worry about the tactics too much, man.
Yep.
That was a heavy blow for my family to overcome too, as well.
And obviously those things I know have came and made you all stronger, have made your relationship stronger, even with God, because he's the only source you can go to draw strength from, right? To draw comfort from, especially, after, things kind of quote unquote die down and, you're left with those thoughts and memories. And then you said one thing, Dre, that was very real, is that with both incidents with both things that took place, is that I know you found out even more about yourself, because like you said, you could have easily made a phone call or acted out
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
reverted back to the past. And I'm sure even for you, you was like, wow, I really have changed. I really have, like how you said in the Bible, been renewed. You know what I mean? So that's real. That's real. That's all I can say about that. That's real. That's real. So yeah. Man, I just want to wrap up with just a couple more things, man. Talk a little bit about you. Let me start back. Let me go back. You had said something. You probably don't remember this, but and I know people. I've had a couple people before. They probably don't know how many you were connected, and that's a story for another day. But man, we got so many connections and times we done met up and stuff like that. Being the OG that he is and stuff like that. And there's two instances. I don't know if you remember this, but I went to see Manny play in Kent. I can't remember who they were playing. It might have been in playoffs his senior year. And I ran into you there. And that was my first time seeing you since like years before you had got locked, right? You know what I'm saying? We had talked about where we was at when we seen each other. So I don't know if you remember me seeing you in Kent. And I didn't know if you even knew who I was at that time. You know what I mean? And like I knew who you was, but and then you like, oh yeah, that's Dre. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you remember that, but you said something to me when you came to my church and spoke to the men. And I didn't understand at the time, but as I've walked along this journey, I understand it more and more. And maybe you can go into detail, but you had said something like, and I'm gonna paraphrase, you had said kind of something like, I try more and more not to, and I didn't send you this question either. so I apologize, but this just came to me. I try more and more not to dress like some people in the church, as far as the church look, always got my suit on, always got my tie on, or I got my collar on, I got this and got that. And at the time, and I don't know if you remember, at the time I got it, but I didn't get it. But now, as I walk, I've actually picked that up. Sometimes I might come in with might have my slacks and a t-shirt on, or I might not have a tie on, might just have my, and the only reason I'm saying that because some people do judge you based off how you look, what you have on, how you talk, how you say things. So obviously, the outside world, meaning outside the church, we know how to handle ourselves outside there, but also inside the church, I found out too that there is even in there, everyone's not in there for the same reasons, right? Let's just be real. Everyone's not in there, to profess Jesus Christ and different things. And that's a whole other podcast. But just talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about that, and just talk about the ministry that you're under and the ministry that you have as well. I know I threw a lot at you.
So I do remember me telling you, making that statement to you, and I'm intentional about that because I feel like what God is doing now and who He's doing it through, right? It can't look like it used to look.
That's it. Yep.
Because things aren't like they used to be. So I want the guy who used to be me, who sees me and knows me, and say, you know what? Yo, he's still kind of fly, man. Like he ain't, he living great. Like he look, his life looks good, but he ain't really doing the things that most people do to look like this.
Look like that. That's
so
it,
those
bro.
are the people, and I know that that's my ministry.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna look like what the so-called minister looks like to the religious folk.
That's it. But
those are the people that I'm trying to get to. I want somebody who just has an inkling of spirituality, who knows that there's a God, but understands that they can't live the best without him. So those are the people I want to track. I'm not going to track that guy with a three-piece suit on every time I come around.
That's right.
And who knows who's going to be sitting in church on Sunday?
That's right.
You know what I mean? And I want to be relatable. I want to be approachable. I want them to know that you can still be who you are and still be an example and live for God. You just got to change the inside. The outside doesn't have to change.
That's it.
Because the only thing that matters is the heart. All issues of life flow from where? The heart, right?
That's right.
So as long as this is fixed, I don't have to put on a uniform or something that's approving to you throughout the years that you're supposed to wear a suit or you're supposed to wear this and look like that. I don't want to look like that. I intentionally want to be the opposite.
Yeah. Yep. Man, you said
And,
it, man. Hey, go ahead. Talk
and
about the ministry. Yeah, go ahead.
that's what I'm going to leave it. And that's exactly why I love the ministry. It's a perfect fit for me. Bishop Dane Coleman, Greater New Hope Church and Ministries in Preston, Maryland,
Yes, sir.
Where Bishop Dane Coleman, First Lady, Pastor Levita Coleman. It's a free-flowing ministry, man. But you'll be able to tell as soon as you walk in, man, that God is definitely in the building.
Yeah.
And I believe that his ministry is built for the millennial.
I believe it.
The way he preaches, the way he leads, you know. And I remember him even saying, this was probably a year or so, maybe 2 years ago, we're going to dress down. We ain't wearing no suits.
Wow. Yeah.
We're going to dress down every Sunday till further notice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you got to be able to move like that.
That approachable word, bro, you said it when you said approachable. That's it to me, because, and I cut you off, because I always tell people, like, there's going to be people that's going to come into church that are not going to look like me or you, that's never been in church, that maybe they don't have a dress to put on, they don't have slacks to put on. Are you not going to go to that person or that person love because of what they got on at the time? Come on.
Yeah. And the sad part about it is you will have people that sit in church and talk about it.
Talk about it.
That's the sad reality of it.
Yep. That's what happens.
And I still do it every Sunday. Lance. I go on that joint with Yeezys, Jordans on, jeans. I wear a suit sometimes.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I feel like I want to get up, put a suit on this Sunday, I'll put it on. But for the most part, I don't dress up when I go to church.
Yeah, I've gotten less and less, like you said, the suit, always wearing a suit, so less dress myself. Yeah. Jeans
and a button up, you know what I mean? Whatever. But man, but that ministry, man, and it's funny how I started going there, bro. Me and Jonathan Tillman, my boy.
Yes, sir, man. He's preached at my church a couple of times, man. Dynamic man of God.
Me and him were actually on a platform together preaching.
Oh, wow.
And this was probably 7, because I think we've been at Greater New Hope probably 7, 8 years now. And this is how we started going there. I was with him. He said, man, you'll be a perfect fit. I said, perfect fit? Yeah, man, at our church, man, you'll be a perfect fit, man. I'm going to give you the address, man. Give me your number. Come check us out. I went down there that first Sunday. It's crazy because I told my wife, because it's an hour from my house. It's an hour, a little over an hour.
Yeah.
I told my wife, I said, man, on the way down there, I said, man, I don't know if I can drive over here. Look, on the way home after we went,
we going.
Babe, we coming back next week.
That's it. That's what's up. That's what's up.
And bro, I've been there ever since.
Man, that's it.
Been there ever since.
Man, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Man, I tell you, man, Dre, this has been great, man. This is, like I said, man, we could have, for everybody, man, me and Drake could have went 4 or 5 hours, man. So we can't give you all the gems and all the stuff, you know what I mean? We talk about, man, but man, I just wanted y'all to really hear his story, man, because we all got a story. I always say, a person's praise, a person's worship is built on what they've been through, is built on their story. So I appreciate Dre coming on, being very transparent, sharing some things he didn't have to share, saying some things. And I know that this is going to bless somebody. I always tell people, if it bless one person, we did our job. I didn't know if I was going to do, a few episodes this year of a podcast, but as I was thinking about it, man, I, talked to Dre, I was like, man, we got to do it. We got to do it, man. So, man, Dre, I appreciate you, man. Before we get off, though, I got to give you a NBA question real quick. KD is back tonight. He's starring for Phoenix, so I'm gonna go check that out. But give me your Western Conference team that's gonna come out, your Eastern Conference team that's gonna come out, and give me a champion this year.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Phoenix, and I haven't even seen them gel as a team yet, because on paper they should. With adding KD, they should be able to come out of the West, I think.
I agree.
I think it should. As long as they can stay healthy.
Right. As long as they can stay healthy. They got to be healthy, yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. So I'll pick Phoenix in the West. And in the East, man.
Boston, Milwaukee. Which one? It's got to be one of them two. I'm leaning Milwaukee right now myself.
Man, listen, that's what I'm sitting here. I'm fighting back and forth with Boston or Milwaukee, man, and
it's tough.
I don't know. I'm gonna say Boston, man. I'm gonna go Boston, Phoenix.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Boston, Phoenix, man. And I'm gonna say Phoenix in 7.
Phoenix in 7 over Boston. So, cause the only thing with Boston for me is I wonder Joe Mazzulla in the playoffs. I'm interested to see how he'll do making adjustments in the playoffs, and then. But I love obviously the Malcolm Brogdon pickup has been big for them this year. He's played exceptionally well. Them picking up Mike Muscala, another guy that can stretch the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But with Milwaukee, man, obviously Chris Middleton has to continue to get healthy. Drew Holiday has gotten even better this year. Obviously, Giannis is Giannis, and then picking up a Jay Crowder, who's that guy there missing since PJ Tucker, is big. So yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good playoffs though. It's gonna be good playoffs.
Yeah.
Your Lakers. Real quick, my bad, I forgot. Your Laker fan. Are they gonna make the play-in? LeBron's gonna be out at least probably 2 to 3 weeks. AD's not even playing tonight. I like how y'all looked last night though against Memphis. They was in the game first 3 quarters, and that was without Russell. Y'all at least gonna make the play-in? Because I think I had a chance to get to the 6th seed at one point, but I don't know about that now.
I'm gonna say this, man. Yeah, I don't think we stand a chance. I'm gonna say this about my Lakers, man. The effort defensively is sickening to me some games, bro. And last night was one of those examples. And I feel like if we can keep with Brian being out for several weeks, you never know how many games AD gonna play, man. Yeah. So I'm gonna say I think we can squeeze into the play-in.
Yeah.
But if we're not full throttle healthy, and even if we are healthy going into the playoffs, by pieces being missing out of the lineup for weeks at a time and still trying to gel with these new guys, man.
Yeah. I
don't even know. I think we probably can win a play-in game, but I don't even know if I can give us a series, bro, to be honest.
That's real. You got to see it. One of the things you got to see. You don't know about, how Bron's going to come back. And AD, like you said, I was surprised to hear he's not playing tonight. And like I said, Russell's out right now. Yeah. I love the pieces, though. I think going forward, make sure you got that foundation now, though. But, yeah. So, but we'll see.
I don't even know when we get D'Lo back. When is D'Lo coming back?
Yeah, I think in my opinion, I think he's gonna try to come back Friday against Minnesota, going against an old team. I think he'll be back by Friday, in my opinion. So yeah, we'll see. Him. Yeah, definitely need him, man. Definitely need him. But cool, man.
We got playing that round table now.
We need the round table. We're gonna get on
we
that.
Gotta have a round table.
Because shout out to Sleep, because I know Sleep wants to get on there with us. So me, you, Sleep, we'll get somebody else and make it 4. And that'd be enough for 4.
Try to get Dwayne on here, man.
Man, I'm waiting on Dwayne. We both waiting on him still.
I'll work on it.
Work on him, bro.
I'll work on it.
That'd be perfect.
I'll work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll work on it.
That'd be perfect, man.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you, man, having me on, man. You already know how I feel about you, man.
My dog.
You my brother, like we got the same mother. You know what I mean?
You know it, bro. Appreciate you, man. We gonna keep building from here, man. We in it for life now, bro.
Yes, sir. I
appreciate you, man. Real Sports Fan Podcast. We out of here. Peace.